What is personality? Personality is the unique and relative stable ways in which people think, feel, and behave. Essentially, personality is what makes each person different. It is what makes you, you. The study of personality in psychology is relatively new and difficult because of issues with quantitativity. And because of its qualitative nature, different perspectives have risen. Just like many other topics in psychology, theories of personality has its own share of different, partially conflicting, or partially complementary perspectives or views. There is Freud's psychodynamic perspective, which believed in the layers of consciousness in the mind. Then, there's the mix of the behavioral, which uses the principles of learning and conditioning, and the social cognitive theorists, which emphasize the influence of social and cognitive factors. Followed by the third force in psychology, known as the humanistic perspective, which uses the ideas like self-concept and self-actualization. And then there's the trait perspective, which attempts to describe personality in terms of a person's so-called traits. This video will only discuss the psychodynamic perspective and the behavioral and social cognitive perspective. The psychodynamic perspective had its beginnings with a guy named Sigmund Freud. This perspective focuses on the role of the unconscious mind in the development of personality. What makes this perspective stand out from the others is that it conceptualizes the thought of the unconscious. According to Freud, the mind is divided into three parts or layers, namely called the preconscious, conscious, and the unconscious. For Freud, the layers of a person's consciousness mainly determine that person's behavior and personality, with the unconscious being the most important determining factor. According to Freud, the unconscious mind is the layer where the thoughts, feelings, memories, and other information are kept that are not easily or voluntarily brought into consciousness. Freud further theorized that personality itself can be divided into three parts, as shown through the iceberg model. How these three parts interacted with one another became the heart of his theory. From the illustration, the deepest part, called id, is paired up together with the unconscious part of the mind, because the id is completely unconscious itself. According to Freud, this part contains all of the biological drives such as hunger, self-preservation, and even sex. Next up is the superego, which is paired up with the preconscious. According to Freud, the superego is the moral center of a person's personality. It is the part of the personality that contains a person's conscience. Lastly is the ego, which is paired up with the conscious layer of the mind at the top of the iceberg. According to Freud, the ego is the layer of personality which deals with reality, and at the same time, it is the one that manages how the id and superego interact with each other by trying to handle all their demands. For Freud, personality developed in a series of stages, and since it develops as a result of sexual development, he called these stages the psychosexual stage. The first stage, which occurs from birth to around 1 to 1.5 years of age and is dominated by the id, is called the oral stage. According to Freud, the conflict in this stage will be about waning. If waning somehow occurs too soon or too late, the person will probably be associated with an orally fixated adult personality, such as overeating, drinking, talking too much, nail biting, and the like. The next stage, which occurs around the age of 1 to 3 years of age, is called the anal stage. In this stage, the conflict is about toilet training, which, according to Freud, stimulates the development of the ego. If this stage is not handled properly, the consequences may lead to either an anal expulsive personality or anal retentive personality, which actually describes a person's disposition about messiness and neatness. The next stage, at around 3 to 6 years old, is called the phallic stage. According to Freud, at this stage, children are now aware of differences between the sexes. In this stage, the conflict is centered around the awakening of sexual feelings. Fixation in this stage usually involves immature sexual attitudes as an adult. From the age of 6 to the onset of puberty, the latency stage begins. According to Freud, in this stage, children develop intellectually and physically, but not sexually. And once the puberty begins, the last stage of psychosexual development begins, which is called the genital stage. This is the stage where sexuality is appropriately awakened, and since for Freud, sexual development is tied with personality development, this stage caps off the development of a person's ego and superego. And that's Freud's perspective and theory on personality. In this perspective, what will be discussed is Bandura's reciprocal determinism and self-efficacy, and Rotter's social learning theory. According to Bandura, there are 3 factors that influence one another in determining the patterns of behavior that make up personality: the environment, the behavior itself, and the cognitive factors. He calls this relationship reciprocal determinism. Aside from reciprocal determinism, Bandura also stressed the importance of self-efficacy as a variable of personality. According to Bandura, how high or low a person's confidence also shapes that person's personality by setting a chain reaction between a person's cognitive factors and behavior. People with high self-efficacy tend to be more persistent and expect themselves to succeed, while people with low self-efficacy expect themselves to fail and avoid challenges. Rotter viewed personality as a relatively stable set of potential responses to various situations, which for him are learned. From that, Rotter further conceptualized his view with the idea of a person's locus of control. According to Rotter, the locus of control is a person's tendency to assume that he or she either have control or do not have control over the events and consequences that happen in his or her life. For Rotter, people who assume that their own actions and decisions directly affect the consequences they experience are said to be internal, while those who assume their lives as a roll of a dice or destiny are external. He associated people high in internal locus of control as go-getters, while those who are high in external side are people who tend to give up quickly. And like Bandura, Rotter also believed that an interaction of factors would determine a person's personality. These factors are reinforcement value and expectancy. That is all for our group's video. We hope that you learned something from this.